Welcome to class. We will begin in child's pose today. Take the knees about as wide as the mat, keep the toes together, reach the arms far out in front of you, and then allow the forehead to rest heavy down. Starting to feel the breath bounce off the mat, and allowing the belly to expand and fall between the thighs, and for the hips to gradually make their way closer to the feet without forcing them to. And then gently pull the hands back towards you, lifting yourself up into all fours. Bring the legs parallel to one another. Make sure the wrists are underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips. And we'll move into cat-cow. So on your inhale, begin to pull the chest through the arms. Take the gaze up as the belly falls down towards the floor. And on your exhale, scoop the belly in, arch the spine up to the sky, tuck the gaze down to the navel. Keep flowing through this 3 more times, inhaling as you arch the spine, pull the chest through and up. And exhale, push through the hands, exaggerate the curvature of the spine up towards the sky. Warming up the spine here with this articulation and connecting movement to breath. You can start to play with turning this into circles, so shifting the ribs over to the right before allowing the belly to fall down to the floor. Shift over to the left and scoop the back up towards the sky. As if your spine is a jump rope, allowing your elbows to softly bend, and you can let your head come into that motion as well. Keeping this small or making it as big as you want to. Don't be afraid to express yourself. Shifting over the other way now, going the opposite direction. Enjoying all of those bilateral movements, stretching out the low back, all sides of the ribs. Come back to center. And then bring the legs and the feet together, tuck all 10 toes underneath. Slowly sit the hips back as you walk the hands to come to rest on the lap. Breathing into that deep stretch on the bottoms of the feet. Keep the arms as they are, or inhale, sweep them all the way up overhead, opening the chest. Bring the hands together, clasp all fingers except the index and thumb, and shoot the energy high up towards the sky. Keeping the gaze between the palms for Kali Mudra. Release the hands, float them down in front of you, and then untuck the toes, sit the hips back once more, fingertips beside your hips. Begin to lift the knees any amount, allowing the feet to sickle, so you find an opposite stretch on the tops of the feet and the ankles, maybe even the shins. You can also do one leg at a time if this is difficult for you. The spine curves back behind you to facilitate that lift. With control, lower the knees, take the hands out in front of you and come back to all fours. But keep the legs together. Spread the fingers wide and push through the hands. Extend the left leg back behind you, pointing the toes. And then float the leg in line with the hip. Keeping everything as still as possible, push through the left hand and the right knee so you can float the right arm alongside the ear. There's one long line of energy shooting out through the back toes and the front fingertips. Keep the gaze slightly ahead of your hands and breathe. Right hand comes back down. Bring the left foot down, keep the toes tucked, lean back slightly until you feel a stretch along the back of the left leg, particularly the calf. Indulge this for yourself for a moment. And now we'll float the right toes up so we can pivot on that right knee. The toes will go out to the right side of the mat, opening up to the left, plant the left foot down, and then walk the hands over to face the same side. Right hand plants down underneath the face, so you can start to peel the left fingertips up to the sky. The chest will peel open towards the back of the mat. You can allow the hips to open to accommodate that. Gaze goes up towards those left fingertips and really push through the right hand, reach through the left fingertips, breathe into this long line of energy. And then slowly start to rotate back down, bending the right elbow, and then tuck the left arm all the way underneath the right. So the left cheek will come down towards the mat, left shoulder as well, threading the needle. It's okay if you can't go all the way down just yet. Send your breath to your thoracic spine, your mid-back. And then push through the right hand so you can peel the left fingertips once more up to the sky. And then place them back down on the mat. We'll walk everything over towards the front of the mat, resetting. Begin to push through the hands and the left toes as you float the right knee off the mat, pulling it in towards the chest. Arch the spine as if you're doing a cat spine, forehead to knee. Breathe for a moment. Lower the knee down and we'll reset for the other side. So bring the left knee into center line, extend the right leg back, point the toes, and then lift the leg up to hip height. Make sure the weight is balanced between the right hand and the left knee. Float the left arm alongside the ear and reach equally through the fingertips and the back toes. It's okay if you need to tap that hand or foot down. It's a nice challenge for our balance. Plant the hand back down, lower the back foot, keep the toes tucked, then start to shift your weight back, finding that back of the leg stretch. Float the left toes up, pivoting on the left knee. The shin and the foot goes off the left side of the mat. Plant the right foot down and then walk your hands over towards the right. Take the left hand under the face now, and then begin to peel the right fingertips up to the sky, opening the chest up and opening the hips any amount to do so. Hold the length of the pose, but not the breath. Allow it to move fluidly. Rotate back down to the mat. Bend the left elbow, thread the right arm underneath, so the right shoulder, right cheek move down towards the earth. Breathing into the thoracic spine. Push through the left hand so you can peel the right fingertips once more up to the sky, and then bring the hand down. Making your way back towards the front of the mat, square yourself off, push through the hands and the left toes, scoop the belly, float the right knee up towards the chest, cat spine, and forehead to knee. Breathing here, firing up the core. And now step that foot back, downward facing dog. First pedaling out the feet, bending one leg and then the other, breathing naturally. You can play with turning all 10 toes to face one direction, allowing those hips to rock over, and then shifting to the other direction. Eventually, we will come to a still downward facing dog. If it's more comfortable for you, please keep a soft bend in the knees and allow your heels to float up off the mat. Feeling equal weight distribution among all 5 fingers in the entirety of the palms of the hands. Hips up to the sky, draw the belly button in towards the spine, and gaze somewhere between your toes. Soft bend in the knees, walk the hands all the way back towards the feet, and then begin to slowly roll yourself all the way up to stand, vertebra by vertebra, allowing the arms and the head to be heavy. Last thing to come up is the head, and then roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Heel toe the feet together, and we'll hold a strong Tadasana mountain pose. So feet and inner lines of the legs together. Scoop the pelvis slightly under as if you're tucking your tail between your legs. Draw the belly button to the spine. Draw the shoulder blades back together and down. And shine the palms forward, drawing the fingertips down. Keep your gaze on one point, your drishti. Breathe into the sense of rooting and grounding. On your next inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, gaze towards the hands, and as you exhale, simply draw the hands down to prayer at chest center, feeling the thumbs gently press against the heart space. Again, inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, opening the chest, and exhale with great reverence, draw the hands to prayer at chest center. Once more, inhale, circle the arms up. This time, exhale, draw the hands through prayer as you forward fold all the way down over the legs. Continuing to breathe steadily here, start to bend the knees generously, sitting the hips low and coming up onto the toes. So scooping the belly, drawing the knees up in towards the chest. The glutes will rest down onto the heels as you come high up onto your toes. Keeping the fingertips on the mat, or you can start to play with sitting tall through the spine, allowing those knees to slowly draw down, squeeze the inner line of the legs together. Eventually the thighs may become parallel to the mat. Float the hands to prayer at heart center. Steady drishti, steady breath. Hands float down to the mat, reach them out in front of you, and then open the knees wide. Start to pull yourself forward so that the knees float down to the mat now. Open up the feet, legs are out at a 90-degree angle. Flex the feet and then allow the knees to slide open even more, lowering yourself down onto your elbows for a frog stretch. So make sure that your knees are in line with your hips. You're not too far forward or too far back. If it feels good for you, you can take the elbows wide, stack the hands, and rest the forehead down. Sending breath into our hips, into our inner thighs. Come up onto your elbows if you're not there. Start to pull yourself forward so your pelvis will rock out of that frog stretch, and you can bring the toes together. And then from there, start to draw the legs back in towards one another. Toes go up to the sky. As you lower your upper body down, tee the arms out in line with the shoulders. And then allow the right leg to fall straight back behind you. Keep the left toes pointing up. Left hand comes underneath the left shoulder. Begin to push through that hand, rolling onto the right side of the body, right cheek to the mat, as the left toes float back behind you to find the floor. So a deep shoulder and chest opener here. Left toes are still active here, pointing down to the back of the mat. Right toes pointing up towards the right hand. Roll yourself back to center, extending both legs straight behind you. Come up onto your shoulders just for a moment, and then take the left leg back out at a 90-degree angle, similar to frog, but relax the foot. Thread the right arm underneath the left, reaching for the outside of the left knee. And then lower the head down. Take the left hand behind the head and start to open yourself up to the sky for a spinal twist. You can stay here reclined, or you can bend the right leg, point the toes, reach down for that foot with the left hand, finding that stretch in the front of the right thigh and right hip flexor. Keep everything as it is, or you can extend the left leg straight now, flexing the foot and reaching down with the right hand. So binding opposite hands to feet and still breathing all through that delicious spinal twist. With control, release the bind of one leg at a time. Make your way back to that original position. And then simply reset, rolling yourself onto your belly, taking both legs long behind you. Tee the arms back out. Bend the right leg this time, right toes to the sky, right arm under the right shoulder, and then roll yourself all the way onto the left side of the body. Come back onto your belly, legs go long, coming up onto your elbows to start. Take the right leg out at a 90-degree angle, relax the foot, and then slide the left arm under the right, reach for the outside of the right knee. Right hand behind the head, begin to roll yourself open and recline. Option to take the binds with the feet. Whichever version you're in, try your best not to analyze it too much. Breathe and allow your body to take the shape that serves it best. One leg at a time, release the bind if you have it. And then reset to that original position before rolling over onto your belly. Bring the legs behind you, take them together. Take the hands underneath the shoulders, and then press through the hands to lift yourself up to all fours, and then take the hips all the way back into a narrow child's pose. So hips down to the heels, legs together, forehead heavy on the mat. And let's relax the arms down to their sides. So the hands will rest beside the feet, palms facing up to the sky. Roll yourself up to sit. Make your way to the middle of the mat just to give yourself some room. And then shift your weight a little more into your left side just so you can extend the right leg out in front of you. And then sit the glutes back down to the inside of the left heel, setting up for half hero's pose. If this is a lot for your left knee, you can place a block or maybe a rolled up blanket underneath your seat. The knees are in line with the hips, so don't worry about squeezing the legs together here. Keep the left heel drawn in towards the left hip. If you'd like to go a little bit further, you can lower yourself down onto your elbows. And if you'd like to go deeper, lower yourself all the way down to your back. Relax the arms beside you. The idea here is to feel a satisfying stretch in the left quadriceps, the left hip flexor, maybe even a bit of the left psoas, that deep core muscle. If you feel any strain in your knee or your breath is short, please ease off and go for a less deep version. If you're on your back, prop yourself up onto your elbows, and then from your elbows, make your way up to sit. Keeping the legs as they are, lean a little bit more into your right so that you can begin to cross the left leg over the right. So that knee will draw up in the direction it's pointed, and then open it up, cross the left knee over top of the right knee, and draw the left heel in towards the right glute now. So we're coming into half Gomukhasana legs. Flex the right foot, toes pointed up to the sky. Sitting tall to find length through your spine, begin to walk your hands forward, folding over the legs any amount. Continuing to breathe, you may be feeling some intense sensations. This is not a normal forward fold, so you may not go as far as you're used to, and that's totally okay. Keep shining the chest forward. Eventually, you may be able to tuck your chin, resting it over the shelf of the left knee. Walk your hands back, coming up to sit. And then open the left knee out to the side slightly so you can stack the left ankle on top of the right knee. Lean back so you can bend the right leg, planting the right foot down, coming into this seated figure 4 stretch. You can keep the left foot relaxed here, but continue to encourage the left knee out. And then sitting tall through the spine, you can play with the depth here, either walking yourself further in, drawing the right heel closer in, or taking more space. Walking the hands out, walking the right foot out. Sending breath into that left glute. Walk the hands and the right foot out just enough so you can free that left leg straight out in front of you. Lean onto your left hip so you can tuck the right heel in towards the right glute for half heroes on the other side. Sitting up tall, enjoying that stretch if it feels like plenty, or begin to lower yourself down to your elbows, maybe all the way down to your back. If you're on your back, prop yourself up, slowly making your way all the way to sit. This time lean into the left, draw the right knee over top of the left, tucking that right heel into the left hip. Sitting tall, flex the left toes up to the sky, and then begin to walk the hands forward, folding over the legs any amount. Remember, this is not a normal forward fold, so you may not go as deep as you're typically used to. If you're staying lifted up on the hands, shine the chest forward. And then if you feel comfortable to do so, you can begin to lower the chin down, resting on the shelf of the right knee. Roll yourself up out of that. Begin to open up that right leg so you can stack the ankle on top of the left knee. Bend the left leg, plant the foot on the ground, setting yourself up for this seated figure 4 stretch. Taking it to a depth that feels good and sustainable for you. Make sure that your spine is long and that you're breathing well into that right glute. You can keep the right foot relaxed, but encourage that right knee further out to the side. Walk the hands and the foot out enough so that you can free the legs. Legs stay bent, feet on the mat, hold on to the backs of the thighs, and slowly lower yourself all the way down to your back. We'll finish with 2 simple but amazing poses. The first one is fish pose. So extend the legs long, point the toes, and squeeze the inner line of the legs together. Arms are down beside you, hands pressed down into the mat. And then tuck one arm, including the shoulder blade, all the way under the body. You may need to rock back and forth to do that. And the glutes will sort of weigh the wrists down. Continue to press the hands down into the mat beside one another. And then you'll begin to press down into the forearms as you puff the chest up to the sky, dragging the head along the mat until you open up the throat and the crown of the head will rest down on the mat, gazing behind you. Breathing deep into this chest and throat opening, continue to point the toes, puff the chest up to the sky. Moving out of this comfortably, allow your head to slide out, back of the head down to the mat as the elbows straighten out and you lower all the way down. Free the arms out from underneath the body. Take a moment here. We will counter that with plow pose, our final pose. So scoot yourself forward, making sure you have lots of room behind you. Bend the knees and plant the feet on the mat. Rest the head down and take the arms beside you, pressing down into the mat with the hands. And remember to keep the gaze up to the sky the entire time. We're not turning our neck side to side in this pose. First, draw the knees up in towards the chest. Open up the bend of the knees, so toes to the sky. And then rock the hips up maybe once or twice until the feet start to float up above the head. And then allow the hips to peel up towards the sky. The back peels up off the mat. The chest draws closer in towards the chin. And then maybe the toes find the mat far back above the head. You can keep a bend in the knees if that helps you. Keep allowing the chest to move closer towards the chin as opposed to drawing the chin down towards the chest. Keep the back of the neck long and the gaze up to the sky. And then slower than feels natural, allow the back vertebra by vertebra to roll back down until the hips come down. Point the feet up to the sky. Keep the legs loose, give them a shake. And then rock the head side to side, releasing any tension through the neck. And we will set up for Shavasana. Take the legs wider than the mat and the arms nice and wide as well, palms facing up. And allow yourself here to feel completely held by the earth underneath you. Trusting that everything in your life will still be there once you are done your practice, and that you can gift yourself these next few moments or so complete rest and nothingness. So allow the breath to return to its normal pace. No need to alter it. And you can allow your muscles to almost fall away from the bones here. Noticing all points of contact with the earth. See if you can find yourself getting heavier and heavier. Allow the belly to move freely as the breath pumps itself through your body. And without saying too much more, I will leave you to it. Thank you so much for joining me for this thoughtful practice and for gifting it to yourself. I hope to see you for the next one. Take care.